thanks a lot, but it's not about...
Company's based in London. I'm based in Birmingham myself, so I do a couple of other jobs in my main job.
I feel great, thanks. What you've been doing this weekend?
One of many different types of things that
Questioning my existence.
I don't know what that means, but interesting.
Eli to explain it.
What does that mean?
Hard philosophical topics like what is the meaning of life?
Let's go to the people speak. I don't know do it. It will link through anyway.
You can say that, but I don't.
Interesting, but I've...
Fingers crossed. Thanks a lot.
Maybe pass the microphone.
If you translate photos and then put them together,
Hi.
Japanese words.
Need to talk about life bombing the UK.
Well, all I need to say is that I deserve to be in the middle.
I don't think there is one. I just think it's quite.
Would we like a change in subject?
I've got a good subject.
Any ideas?
Do you ever get that intensity of religious debates going on?
Religion in politics. Religion in politics. All in. Hands up.
I don't really know what that means.
Neither do I, but you know.
Wait, I've got something to talk about.
Is there any fact behind religion, or is it actually a ploy just to kind of control the society as a whole? Is religion actually got any fact behind it, or is it just a kind of ploy to control society as a whole? That is all.
What do you guys think?
I've always thought that sort of thing, but I never said it out loud because. Wait, are we still on camera? Okay.
I'll jump in.
We don't have to.
I'll jump in for a bit.
You don't have to air it. You don't want it.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Will's going in because we sent to him yesterday before there, so you can go in afterwards.
Just sit on. If you sit, watch like that. If you sit on more than the speaker is, then swivel because they're the ones.
Basically, what Will said, I've always thought, because for all we know, because religions were made thousands and thousands of years ago, all we know, could be one person writing something about themselves and making everything up just to for people to follow them.
Oh, yeah, go
Well, so I'm speaking. Okay, so, yeah, you just talk and then I'll... Okay, thank you. Anyway, I think, thank you. I think that, whatever, you're saying that one person has believed, one person made this up, and people, one person could have made this up. Could have. But then, and other people are just following them. But it's not just what that person believes; it's what all those other people believe as well.
Think about it. Why has it got such a large following?
It's a bit like Margaret's. When she said that if somebody made it up and then other people are following, don't you think that the person who made it up, they would have, if the person who was following, the person who made it up first, they would have been like, is that actually true? Are you not just making that up? And the other person wouldn't have any proof to say that it was true. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that it's important before we discuss anything more to know what religions people at this table have. What's your religion?
Atheist.
I believe in people and the power of their imagination.
Humanity.
We're both Catholics.
Are you?
Yeah.
Hardline Catholics, like you believe in it?
He does more than me.
Get the mic in there when the picture's
He does more than me. I'm skeptical sometimes.
Yeah. Why?
Just because of my point that I made.
Christmas and Easter.
And that's Christmas and Easter. Basically, it just could be, like I said earlier, it just could be someone who made it all up.
True. New people. What are your names?
Evie.
Evie.
Zach.
Right, nice to meet you.
I just want to, on the point of making it all up, I think we sometimes diminish this point that if you're making something up, you're actually creating something. And, you know, I think the essential question here is, how do things get created? And I think they get created mostly in our world through the power of the human mind, and that's why I sort of believe in that. And, you know, be it like I do believe in a kind of spiritual connection, but that is created through our own minds, through our ability to make things up. And I think rather than saying making something up is bad, I think it's good to make things up.
I'm not saying it's bad.
I'm not really saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's misleading multiple people.
Misleading 1.1 billion people. That's a lot of people.
Yes.
I am a Christian, and I do believe in God and Jesus, but sometimes, like, I don't believe in, like, how Jesus, like, I believe in Jesus, but sometimes I'm a bit iffy about the way how he rose from the dead, which, like, that's practically impossible.
Actually, it's possible. It's happened multiple times.
Okay, we'll take charge of this. Take charge of this.
Yeah,
All these other people have got new faces, get their names. Oh, we've got their names.
Well,
Okay, sorry.
Well, anything is possible with the power of God, really. So anything could happen.
Can I just say?
He could start a forest fire if people weren't being nice.
We have no proof God exists.
Good point. Yeah.
I'm a bit like Libby, like, because, like, some. Yeah, shut up. So some bits sound really true. Like.
Yeah, keep talking. Go on.
Like when he rose from the dead, I don't think that's really possible. And like when, like, the angels, I don't really I don't really find that true.
New people. What are your names?
I'm Joe.
Yeah.
I'm Will.
Alright, we're currently just having a fairly loose debate about, is religion real, or is it just some kind of ploy that society has been led into over the course of thousands of years?
They're not mutually exclusive things. Like, obviously religion is real, it's an organisation and churches you can touch, and that doesn't mean that it couldn't be a ploy, or it doesn't mean that...
Yeah, I think we're meaning more like the meaning behind it, or the Bible, for example. Is what is in it factually?
Cool.
I guess that's slightly my point of, does it matter? Like, if it's real or is it not, we've still based a bit of society and a bit of our culture around it, and does it matter whether you've based it around something that never really happened, or does it have to have happened for our values to have meaning?
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Oh.
I think that our society is based around religion, especially Christianity, too much. For instance, let's say you're in court and you have to put your hand on the Bible and say, I promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. You don't put your hand on a law book or any other piece of text like the Quran or something, or you put it on the Bible, and I think that is, well, for one thing, not right, because anything kind of like religionist, like it could be a Muslim and the Muslim wouldn't care, or it could be a Hindu or an atheist, or anyone who was undecided, really.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, I've been a witness in court, and you get a choice. So for me, I just said I promise to tell the truth, and I didn't have to refer to any god. But they've got loads of different religious books that you could swear an oath on in the way that you would do it in that religion. So you do get to choose when you testify in court. But I guess the default is the Bible. I suppose it is the default setting.
I've got a question for, is it Eli? Yeah. You know that hat you're wearing? Fez. Is it like do you wear it because you like it, or is it for a religion, or?
Did you just buy that in the store?
No, I didn't buy it in the store over there. I got it for my birthday from my grandmother because I like it. But I think that it was originally used in an empire, and in the history it will have been used to show religion. But that's why I like it. Good question.
Cool.
You know, like if you weren't a religion and you were in court, well, yeah, whatever, what would you put your hand on? Because
yeah, I mean, you said atheist, but I don't actually like to use the word atheist because I don't believe in the God, but I do believe. It's not like I don't believe in anything. I think you should define yourself by what you do believe in, not what you don't believe in. That's why when you asked me like what my religion was, I said I believe in people and the power of the imagination, because it's not what I don't believe in, it's what I do believe in. However, in court there's no sort of official thing that you can put your hand on, so you just end up with, you just put your hand up like this. I think, I can't remember actually what you do with your hand. Nothing, maybe, I don't know, can't remember.
You said Bible was like the default in a church. Well, why is that though? In a court, I mean, why is that though?
I've actually got a bit of knowledge on this because GCC history do study. Yeah.
Hang on a second. Oh, in the middle, no facts, no opinions. Get them from the outside. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does matter.
Oh, I'm having a good time though. Oh.
wait, what was the question again?
That's the bargain that you make.
My question is, why is the Bible a default in court?
Is it because like it's like the main religion of the world? So it's not.
It's not quite. You've got Muslims and Sikhs, loads.
We're talking about British courts, so it's and Western courts, so it's kind of the basis of a lot of our society. And if you look at a lot of kind of historical things that we've done, it's been done in the name of Christianity, just like in the Middle East. A lot of it's been done in the name of Judaism or Islam or whatever. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But now in some places in Britain, there is Christians are outnumbered like maybe 2-1 by other religions.
Yeah, so maybe it's time that we looked at the way that our society is set up and where it's come from and maybe where it should go. And that's great that we're all sitting around talking about it today.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Well,
yeah, I mean, I think it's not just about religion, but it's how you identify yourself. Like, around the table, some people have said, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, I believe in people, but how important is that to your identity as a person? I think that's the question. Like, is it important? Is it just a sideline? So, you know, that I think is a question. Because if it's not that important, does it really matter what the mix of religions is if people don't really identify it as a, you know, earlier on we were talking about genders and how people identify as genders. I mean, how does this mix of who you are, what's important? Is it gender? Is it religion? Is it something? Is it what football team you support? Is it something else?
personal, whatever, isn't it?
But I know someone who is really into their religion and they see it as a large part of their identity. But I know other people who are religious that I didn't know for like 7 years, and it shouldn't be the same for everyone. It should be what you want, how much of a part of your person identity, that's the word, and that you want it to be. It should be your choice about the emphasis on your identity that religion has.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh.
Back to when Nelly said that Christian is one of the main religions of the world or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, at school, you probably don't want to hear about this, but at school we were in our room, we were learning about different religions, and we saw a pie chart, and and Christian was only a little bit of that, and the biggest one was no religion. So yeah.
I heard that apparently when they did the census in the UK that the biggest religion in the UK was Jedi Knight. Apparently. No, it's not a joke. No, apparently that was the one that most people identified as. They said Jedi Knight. Yeah.
Is that a bit like a kind of... Is that a bit of a joke though? Is it like in the election people voted for what's his face, Captain whatever?
Can I just throw a broader? Can I have a raise of hands? Do we think that atheism is a faith?
What is it? An ideology.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you think it's a faith?
I don't. As I said, I don't believe in God, but I don't like to use the word atheist because I think that's defining what you don't believe. But I do have some strong beliefs in people and the power of the imagination and their ability, their creativity, and their spiritual connection with each other. So I don't think atheism is not a faith, but a faith in people is a faith.
So that was slightly my point of it. It is a faith. It is a belief. It's a belief that there isn't something. It's not a belief that there is something. It's a belief that there is not something. Yeah. So agnostic or humanist are both positive things. And agnostic is like an admittance that you don't know what you believe, right? But I want to posit the idea that atheism is a faith because it's faith in something you don't believe because we can't prove that there isn't something there, and so you're living your life. Someone who identifies as an atheist surely would be living their life according to the belief that there's no afterlife or no God or higher powers or whatever. So that.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting.
Basically, atheism. It's.
Oh, yeah. You guys going? Final thought.
Right, okay.
Come on. Think fast.
McDonald's.
McDonald's again.
Oh, yes. Maybe.
I want to go on a ride now.
Wise words.
Atheists could technically define as Jedi Knight because that was made up by by George Lucas.
And it was using his imagination.
What?
Sorry, you going there?
Yeah, but it's a separate religion. Like, you can be a Buddhist and a Quaker, for instance. They're two things that slot together.
Atheism, Jedi.
Yeah, Jedatheism. Jedatheism.
Talk first. Yeah, we should pattern that.
I'm a big fan.
So does that kind of beg the question that anything can be a religion, really? If you can kind of come up with that, come up with the idea.
I don't understand why we need to identify. Sometimes you just, you don't have to have an opinion sometimes, I think, and it's alright to just go, I don't know, I don't identify with anything we've spoken about, and I don't want to be put in a bracket or a label that says, well, you're this because you think that way. I just want to feel that way, and, I don't think you need to put a label on everything sometimes.
Well, I don't think you hear Will, but Eli came up with the point of identity. So a lot of people, their religion is part of their identity. I don't know if a lot of you would think that, but it's just, I think, part.
I don't know. I mean, I think we could spread this out a little bit and find out what people's go a bit further. So religion's one bit of it. We talked a little bit earlier on about gender and gender identity, but there's more to it. We've had quite a lot of discussion about English and British and European this weekend. With the England World Cup.
Tears.
Yeah, there's been tears. Yeah. But that's also, how much of your identity is, I'm English or British or European, or I'm a Londoner in my case. So there's that, and there's also other things about it, like West Ham United FC, for example, East London, and stuff like that for me. I'm a party animal, I'm a clubber, I'm from Hackney, I'm an artist. So all these things all make up part of what your identity is, and it's not just about religion and gender, but it's a much bigger mix, a sort of salad of different things that people put in for themselves. But I would like to know more from people what is important for them in their identity.
Okay, so
No, you can sit.
no. So, kind of like taking that a bit further. Is it not really that important then? What's like religion as being part of someone's identity?
For me, it's quite irrelevant.
I think identity's been taken a bit far. I think we need to do away with nationalism. I think that's become too much part of people's identity. And with the fact we do British values in schools, why can't it just be called human values? I think we place too much
British values in schools.
in schools now. Tell me if I'm wrong. Do you have to do British values at school? Yeah.
In our school, we have to do Christian values, like Christian core values. When there were a few people in our school, I think I know 2 people that are both in my class, that are both, it's either Muslims or Hindu. I can't remember which one. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Going back to the point you said earlier about anything could be a religion, doesn't that technically mean Talkaoke could be a religion? Also, can I go in the middle?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I was going to say that's if we're talking about religion, I guess that's a lot more in line with the question of what makes up an identity, because you're kind of using the word religion as a shortcut for the idea of identity there. So if you live your life according to a belief system that is I believe that everyone should express themselves or something like that, if that's like a tenet of your belief system, then in a way that is a religion, even though it's not faith-based, I guess is a serious answer to a silly question.
Well, that poses the question, what's the difference between a religion and a faith? Because people use them interchangeably, but we're using them in this discussion as 2 different things. And I'd like to know what do people think are the difference between them?
Okay. Just quickly, because new people joining the circle. Sam and Lizzie, welcome back. Can we go through names just quickly once again?
My name's Will.
I'm Joe.
Ryan.
Liam.
Eli.
Sam.
Lizzie. Zach. Evie.
Mikey.
Yeah, okay, and we are currently just going off Eli's point of religion and identity, 2 separate things. Religion and faith, yes. So, anyone got any points on that?
On names, do you think?
On names?
Yeah, as an identity. Should we be able to change? There's a bit of a stigma about changing your name via depol, but I think actually your name can really shape you as a person. I don't know if the other Wills in the circle have had or I always get the comment about, oh, you're named after the monarchy, oh, you're this or that, or if you have an old-fashioned name, sometimes people think you've got a certain set of values. Maybe I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, see what people think.
Well, in Zimbabwe, you don't get your name until you're 2 years old, and your name is based on the quality that your parents think you have. So it might be something like innocent, or marvelous, or wonder, or joy, or sometimes it could be something like quiet. It's never evil, I don't think, unless you're a really bad kid. But maybe it should be like that you should actually, your name should emerge rather than it be given to you at birth.
Has some kind of personal weight to it. Do you think, Will, do you think your name has like personal weight to it?
My name has personal weight to it, so I'm named after William Shakespeare, and my family's incredibly theatrical, and I ended up being in theatre because my family's in theatre. I don't think it's nominative determinism is the name of when you have a name like Fred Bread and you end up being a baker. But then, if you're 2 and you're named Quiet, surely that places an onus on you to then be quiet. I mean, I know you've talked about gender here, and this idea of you are this gender, you act this way is like this huge thing that's being investigated in the world right now, and I think for a really good reason. But if you're told you are quiet, you are a quiet person, then you start to act quiet and framing.
Well, like the gender thing, I feel that people should be able to choose their own name. That poses that poses a good question. A phrase I've used a lot, because why should the parents be the people to choose the name? I mean, I know it's fun. My parents gave me a really silly name. They gave me Eli Lindsay Loki Paga Hellas Viva as a name, but I think that it would be cool if people could choose their name.
Maybe we should go around the table and find out what name people would have if they could choose it. I remember when I was 6, I wanted to be called Flash, but I would regret that if I changed my name now. That's because Flash Gordon had just come out at that point. But yeah, I wonder what name people would have if they could choose their name. Yeah.
So I'm dating someone called Lilac, and I think it's incredible, and I'd love to be called a colour as well. I'd probably be called Malachite.
Malachite, I love it.
Homer Simpson in The Simpsons changes his name to Max Power. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I might nab that off Homer.
Don't know really.
NASA?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah. I like my name, but I would I have a friend called Tractor, but that's not their actual name, but that's what they call themselves, so I would probably call myself an odd name. I know that in year 6 people call me Beardy for a reason that is too long to explain, so I might do that.
I think I'd probably go for Harry.
Harry?
Yeah.
Florence.
Florence? Any reason why?
Yeah, 'cause it's in Italy. I like Italy.
Geographic.
I'd go for Siena because my mum used to live there and it's quite good.
Oh.
I'm Libby.
Yeah, and this is Libby.
Joe.
Dunno.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't change my name because it's just, I don't know, personal weight to it. I've grown up with it.
I might go for something like either Bex or Stella. One of those. Maybe Stella actually. It's a bit more challenging. Yeah, Stella Artois. Yeah, I think I'll go for Stella Artois.
Stella means star.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, because
I think I might change my name to No Name because on a lot of games that I have on my tablet, I couldn't think of a name, so I've just called my name No Name on pretty much all of them.
Fair enough. Good solution. Do you think having meaning behind your name is important? Like really? Yeah. But like Will, it's got really, like for me, it's not really got any meaning. It's just my name.
Yeah. Oh well, we've got Max Power over there, but what about willpower? Because in a way, Will is willpower. Yeah.
Any,
Well, let's probably the reason why I wouldn't change my name in the first place, because I have a meaning behind my name. Well, not my first name, surprisingly, but my favourite one is probably Loki. I was named after the Norse god of mischief because of my parents being incredibly mischievous, and they knew that any son of theirs would be mischievous. So my name has a meaning behind it, and I think that it's important to have meanings behind names. And if you don't like the meaning behind your name, then you should change it. But I'd be gracious for the one you've been given, and if you don't like it, then change it.
Good point.
My name is Elizabeth, though we shortened it to Libby, and Elizabeth means blessed by God, and I'm not Christian at all, so I'd probably want to change my name to change the meaning. And I just, even though it's part of the family name, I just want to change it.
So do you think it's right then that your parents can actually like pick your name or immediately?
Well, I mean, my parents would call themselves atheists and they're communists, but my name Michael is actually Michael, which actually is Hebrew for of God. So how does that figure? I mean, I take it more as Mikey with a microphone, you know, so I've kind of changed it. And I mean, I called myself Mikey before I started using microphones, so it's that nominative determinism as well.
The reason I like Joe is, do you know the cartoon program on TV called Teen Titans Go? One of my favourite lots of people like Robin, Cyborg, people like that, they're actually the superheroes. But I mostly like Sticky Joe because
why do you like Sticky Joe?
Because so there was one where Santa had given up on Christmas.
Cool. Yeah. Anyone else?
And Sticky Joe and Robin and them had gone and made a sleigh, everything like that, and gone to save Christmas. And then Santa had destroyed the sleigh, got him in the ground, and then Sticky Joe comes along and dumps loads of garbage bags on his head. So I think it's really funny.
So, what you'd have that name because it's someone you'd aspire to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
To Mikey, what Mikey said, instead of willpower or max power, how about horsepower?
Is that what you call yourself?
Maybe.
I think it is, back to the point that it is important that your parents have a meaning, you have a meaning behind your name, because then your parents have something to, you know that you're special to them, or you know you're special to them anyway, but then you have something that, I don't know, connects with them because it's something special to them, which they've passed on to you, which you can pass on to further families or something.
I suppose that identifying you as their child.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it would raise a few problems if you weren't named immediately.
I'd call myself Patrick because I'm half Irish and St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland.
Yeah, that's taking it a bit back to nationalism a little bit, isn't it? But then, does that need to be part of your identity? I think Will was bringing up that point.
See, for me, I see myself much more as a Londoner than an Englander or a British person. And the thing about London is it's full of people from around the world. And I think, I do think sometimes a national identity can be a little bit sort of constricting. When we're in a global world, surely we should identify with the whole planet, not just our one little island or part of that island.
I agree. I don't like how there are for instance at school there'll be I am in a group of Polish people. I have some Polish heritage, and then I see people who are mixed race hanging out together, and it does make me sad that people go together with other people of their nationalities. It also makes me happy when I see people finding similarities in themselves, but then going off to find other people. Like I'm part Polish, but one of my full Polish friends is really good friends with a German person, which they joke about quite a lot because in the past that would not happen, and I agree. It's good to call yourself an Earthian. Because or a Pangean, because we're all from Pangaea originally. And it's good to have your definitive country, but I don't think that should ever get in the way of anything.
Yeah, it's wise words, Eli. Alright.
I think that it's good to have like your name like originating back to your roots. Like it's good to have roots, but at the same time I don't think that should stop you from doing anything, and it shouldn't stop you like agreeing with Eli from like going places, doing different things, meeting new people, mixing with people that aren't of your race or from the same country as you. But I still think you should have roots.
I just want to throw this in. Don't you think there is prejudice between races? There always has been, which is like slavery in America, and you can see that kind of still now in the southern states. Racism is still massive, and it does affect society now. So do you think because of identity and even like just racial identity, we still have an issue there, with names as well?
I do have a friend at school, and they're friends with one of the Muslims in my class. And sometimes we do fall out and stuff. And me and the Muslim's called Joseph. And we sometimes are friends, but we fall out quite a lot. And
what's the nature? What is that?
Why do you fall out? Why?
Well, so he wants to start a market, and whenever he gets money, he's going to donate it to cancer research. But then one of my other friends called Michael is also making a book company, and one of his friends that's like leaving our school now, called Leslie, is one of Joseph's best friends, and he's joined Michael's book company. So then Joseph's trying to talk him out of it and everything, and they're trying to talk him out of it so that he gets more money.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is interesting because even at that, very early level, the argument really is about business. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with the slavery thing. Really, that was about making money, exploiting people to grow crops and sell it to Europe. So, is the business the root of the problem here? Competitive business practices, and then suddenly the identity does become important because it becomes something to sort of, a stick in a way to hit people with. Yeah.
Because we're talking about the business and stuff, some people, I've had someone come in and talk about this, and they said some people, when they're choosing between two people for jobs, they will choose the person who is their either belief or nationality or something, just because they will understand them better and stuff, because it's because they'll speak better even though they might not be better in their mind.
Well, it's a bit like Will chose you, and you're also called Will. Is that because he identified with you to be the new host, and you've got the same name? So we've got less diversity. Willpower. We've got more willpower though. Okay, well maybe it's time for final thoughts actually, because you've been in there quite a long time. Yeah, you're doing well. You've done well for a first session. You've been in there for a long time. So let's just get final thoughts from everyone around the table about any of the subjects we talked about just now.
you should probably just be who you are and not anyone else.
Who is that?
True to yourself. Who are you, Liam?
Maybe that's from next.
I am me.
Oh no,
Yeah.
taking too far now. Right.
I am me.
You are you.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If you strip back all the layers of identity, you say, "Oh, I'm not going to identify as English. I'm not going to identify as my religion or as where I'm from." What are you, or your gender? What are you left with? Is there anything else that you've got to say? Hey, this is me. If you start saying all these things are just a bit false. So that is the subject, I think, for the next session, possibly, should the audience want it.
Final thought?
My final thought right now is giraffes on roller skates. That's just going through my head.
Fair enough. Right, Eli?
My final thought for this is that there are so many good arguments that I can't choose one to side with, if you would, at the moment, though I know that I will come to a conclusion at some point.
Very good.
No, you're alright.
Just going back to the one earlier about the genders, in my opinion, there is 2, male and female, not 76.
Don't really have one at the moment. I think that nothing should really define you, where you come from, what your name is. You should just be who you are and not let that be questioned.
Nationality shouldn't get in the way of friends. You can choose whatever you want to be your identity. Like, you can choose what makes you, and it doesn't matter where you come from or your gender or your religion or something.
I think it'd be quite fun if we could have, like, I don't know, like every 10 years have a review of what you want to identify as. So be like, okay, do you want a new name? Do you want a new gender? Like, how are you feeling? Do you want to stick the same? Yeah, if you just came up for a review on your, like, yeah, every 10 years people could.
Yeah, I think that we're using all of these things as shortcuts of, like, so you have we talked about name and, like, if that's tied to a national identity and you've got your gender and all of these stuff, maybe it's about getting rid of those bigger labels and saying, actually, I identify as a person who is happy in the mornings, and then after I've had a coffee I get a bit aggy, and then after maybe it's about identifying certain situations that bring out behaviours of pattern, and yeah, identifying yourself through that, and maybe you can, like, choose, actually, you know what, I've not been a morning person for a while, maybe this year's the year of the morning. Yeah.
I think the most important thing in life is just to follow your nose, to do, find out, carve your own path, do things because they interest you and you like them, not because you think you have to do them because of other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Alright, thank you everyone.
Final thought from you, Will?
Question everything, people. It's the only way to do it.
Great.
Alright.
Let's have a big round of applause for Will. First time in the table, fantastic job. We'll be back shortly. We're just going to go and have some psychological counselling, and we're just going to question our own existence, and we'll be back, reborn, new and reborn. So thanks everyone for taking part. We're going to have a little break. Woo! Sit on that bit and then spin around. What's your name before we go off to get beers? So my name is Mikey, this is Talkaoke, pop-up talk show. Everyone's welcome, there's no age limit here on the table of chat, anyone can come and sit down. There's no limits at all, there's only 2 rules, no singing and no fighting. So let's go, what's your name?
Mark.
And?
Adam.
And what's your name?
Ella.
And?
Monty,
yep.
Jonah,
yeah.
Livy
and?
Katie.
Katie, and what's your name over here?
Will.
And what's your name?
Cece,
And?
Isabella.
Okay, so this is the start of the session. This is probably the final session here at Dear Shed. So if you've got something to say, speak now or forever. Hold your peace. So, well, not forever actually, because you can say it any time to anyone. So that's slight exaggeration there. But never mind. This is the last chance really to do Talkaoke for Dear Shed Festival. It's been a great festival. But what do we want to talk about? It's up to you. It's not up to me. It's up to you. What do people want to talk about? Any suggestions? What do you want to talk about, Jonah? Anything?
Unicorns.
You want to talk about what?
Unicorns.
What do you want to say about unicorns?
They're awesome.
Why?
Because I'm one.
You're one. Okay, what defines a unicorn?
Magic.
Magic. Okay. All right. Some points over here.
I think that we should talk about chocolate because it's really tasty.
What about chocolate unicorns? Now we can kill two birds, yeah?
With like unicorns and that, all these myths, surely they've come from somewhere. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm just going to throw that one out there. All myths, where do they sort of derive from?
Do you think there was a unicorn back in the day?
There probably was a horse with a horn at some point, and everyone was just like, yeah, this looks pretty cool, I can make a bit of money off this. So yeah, I reckon so. And they just coined it a unicorn. It was like, yeah, it's majestic. Let's market that.
Okay, so the unicorn is a marketing ploy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it could come from Pegasus, which is a Greek myth.
Okay, Pegasus. Tell us about Pegasus.
It's basically a flying horse.
A flying horse. Okay. Yeah.
But like unicorns are like really special, so
yeah. Are they special because they're hard to find? Is it the scarcity that makes them
well,
special?
I have a unicorn on me right now. So.
You've got so then they are around and about the place. What makes a unicorn special? You talked about magic.
It's got like rainbow colours on it.
Rainbow colours. Okay. Any thoughts about unicorns? What?
You got special blood, unicorns?
Have they got special blood? I don't know. Have we got? What we need is a zoologist. We need a unicorn zoologist here. Any unicorn zoologists here? We need to know. We've got some biological questions about unicorns. Do they have special blood?
I think it's just a fashion accessory.
Really?
I think it's just people making money, Ella. I'm sorry.
So you're kind of agreeing with Will that
it's nonsense.
Do you think the original unicorn was a marketing ploy? And what about Pegasus, the flying horse?
Yeah, we could make one out.
I mean, were the Greeks making money out of Pegasus?
They wouldn't. They just.
What's that?
They just believed in that, didn't they?
Okay, they just believed in it. They weren't interested in the finance side. Were the Greeks making money out of Pegasus back in the day? Any ancient economists here? What were the other point? What's your point?
They're cute.
They're cute. Okay. What? Horses? Pegasus? Unicorn? What? All of the above.
Unicorns are cute.
Unicorns are cute. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, unicorns, like they poop rainbows. So
Okay, so they've got rainbow poo.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then also, I like horses too, and there's not much difference apart from the unicorn bit. And
Do horses have rainbow poo as well?
no, they have like horrible stuff.
Poo-coloured poo. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're talking about horse poo, rainbow poo. We're talking about unicorns. Is it a marketing myth? Is it a ploy? I mean, does the unicorn kind of help the horse marketing? The people that run the horses.
There's just a ladybird.
Ladybird. Okay. Ladybird's a myth.
I reckon if unicorns were around today, they'd be massive. It'd be like the ivory trade, wouldn't they? So there wouldn't be any unicorns left because they'd be hunted and horns chopped off into all sorts. I think it'd be terrible.
You think that's what happened to the unicorn?
Maybe the Greeks, the darn Greeks, coming over there, slaying all the unicorns. It might be like Pegasus had to fly.
Is that what happens whenever we get a magical animal? Human beings want to hunt that animal, and they go out of existence.
I'm just a bit upset by the level of skepticism there are about unicorns around the table. Like, I absolutely believe they exist. There are loads of animals that I've never seen in person that I believe in, like tigers. I've never seen a tiger, but
Something like a tiger has been hunted to the verge of extinction.
exactly. Maybe unicorns are just being smart. Like,
Okay, the unicorns are hiding because human beings are dangerous, and that's why we don't see the unicorns, because they're smart, they're clever. If you're a unicorn, stay out of the way of a human being, because it could lead to the end.
The one thing is that no one actually has any proof. Obviously, everyone's like they poo rainbows, but
Yeah. Do you think
it's
that's
just
not
fluff
true?
toys, as far as I can tell.
Do you need proof for everything? What about a tiger? Have you got any proof there's a tiger? That tigers exist? Have you seen a tiger in real life?
I've seen the skin of one.
The skin of one. Yeah.
Well, I think unicorns are very good. So yeah, I didn't know really.
What do you think about this speculation that the reason why we don't see them around and about in the Thirsk region is because they are smart and they're hiding from humans. They're hiding from hunting and predation.
I reckon it was just like you see loads of coats of arms from medieval ages with unicorns. Maybe just like a challenge for the coat of arms painters. Hi, I bet you can't draw a
Okay,
unicorn.
so basically it was like whoever commissioned the coat of arms, the Lord of the Manor, was just trying to make life hard for the sign painters. We're coming up with these unicorn. Like someone maybe had like the White Horse pub, and then somebody else had to have like the unicorn just to make it a bit, just to show off a bit more. Horses.
Where would you go next? After the unicorn?
Where would you go next? What would be better than a unicorn?
Unicorn with wings.
A unicorn with wings? A Pegasus unicorn? A Unipegasus? Would that be better than a...
Can someone sum up what we're talking about?
Okay, yeah, that's actually my job, and sorry about that because you've just joined in. We're talking about unicorns. Why are unicorns cool? Is it their rarity? Is it their rainbow excrement? Is it the fact that you can't see them, and why can't you see them? And in a way, I'm trying to just broaden this out to a wider subject of like special animals, such as the rhinoceros with its unique horn, is hunted almost to extinction. The tiger, we rarely see tigers. Is it the fact that we hunt all of these animals the reason why we don't see unicorns? Because they're in hiding, as much like tigers.
Maybe. The unicorns hide in rainbows.
Okay, do they hide in rainbows? That would be a good place to hide. Okay. Do unicorns hide in rainbows? That's what we're talking about here on Talkaoke. We have never talked about this here in the whole 21 years of Talkaoke.
Ella, if you could see a unicorn, would you want to actually see one, or would that kill the mystery?
Okay, would it be? What you're saying is, would it be an anticlimax?
Yeah, if we just had like a field of unicorns, like we see fields of sheep. If you're driving along and you see unicorns everywhere,
yeah,
would that be good, or would it be rubbish?
Okay, is it the rarity of the unicorns that makes them special?
Surely that would cause a havoc, because there'd be nothing but rainbows.
Yeah.
Air traffic would shut down.
Would it cause more precipitation?
So perhaps the fact that they are such a rare beast is part of their nature.
Okay. We've got a new face to the table. We're talking about unicorns, and we're talking about do unicorns exist? Are they like other animals, like the rhinoceros and the tiger? Are they just simply hiding because they know that human beings are dangerous? And are they hiding in rainbows? If there were loads of unicorns, would we think they're so special? And if we had loads, would it cause problems weather-wise with all the rainbows? Because apparently unicorns hide in rainbows.
Do you think though, with like going back to the scarcity of the animal, like if you've been raised in a closed community and you saw a cow for the first time at about the age of 21, you're like, what is that? You know what I mean? So do we? Yeah, well, even just a normal cow though. Like, is it just because we've seen it so much that you think there's nothing special about it, or does every animal have its qualities?
If you saw a cow or a sheep and you'd never seen one before, would you go, wow, that's amazing, that animal? Maybe it's got rainbow poo. Wait for it to poo. What's that?
Kate, my wife, has taught children that have never seen a cow until they're 12, 13, 14.
You've seen people, how do they react when they first see a cow?
Frightened. Really, really frightened.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, would it be the same with a unicorn? You're all into unicorns, but would you be scared if you saw one for the first time? No?
I would take it home and my mum would just have to cope with it.
That's great. Okay, who's gonna clear up all the rainbow poo? Would you do it, or would Mum have to do it?
My dad probably.
Okay, so Dad.
But my dad might not be happy about that.
Okay. All right. What's that?
Hello? I think it's me.
Don't know. It might be because we might be running out.
Hello? I'll just talk normally.
Oh yeah.
So I get some fresh ones.
I think it might be some radio. Let's just. I think that we might be okay now. Let me just. I'm sorry, technical problem. Yeah. Okay. Let's get a final thought from you before you go about the unicorns. You have to find a unicorn. Final thought. Come here and give us a final thought. Otherwise, we've got no sense of closure, and then we'll be driving back down the motorway, really feeling. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Final thought.
I think unicorns amazing, and yeah, that's about it. Oh yes.
Have you heard anything new about unicorns in this session?
Yes, llamacorns.
Llamacorns?
No, they just haven't come up, but I just feel that there's the discussion should be about this.
Underrepresented. Llamacorns are underrepresented in this chat. Is it all unicorns and no llamacorns?
I personally love llamacorns, so.
Okay. Okay, I've never heard of one of those before. Okay, so where are we going to take this conversation? You were going to say something, Eli. What were you going to say?
Well, I would be pretty terrified because...
Of a unicorn?
I'm sorry, but I do not believe in unicorns.
Really? Why?
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Because I have never ever seen any proof of a unicorn.
Okay, do you need proof in things to believe in them?
For me, I do.
Okay.
It's why I am skeptical of most things.
Okay.
But I would... it would make me reevaluate my outlook on life as well.
Okay, so you're not completely open to the possibility, but before proof, you don't believe in the unicorns, okay?
If I saw a unicorn, then I probably wouldn't be as frightened as you would think, because there's so many myths about them.
Yeah.
It's like you know everything, like if there's so many myths, you know like all the possibilities of what it could do.
But it's got a vicious horn.
Well, yeah, but in none of the stories does it use it.
Exactly. In the horns it used magic, and I wouldn't be scared if I saw one because I just love them, and I've got ones.
Eli over here that doesn't believe in anything that there's no proof for. I mean, what do people think about that? I mean,
like love.
Okay. I mean, have you never seen any proof of love?
I've seen it. Yeah, I felt it.
Okay, but you can't. What? You can't have any solid belief about it, or solid.
Well, I've seen some financial benefits.
Okay. How do you point at it? Okay. I mean, love is something that you can't put your finger on, so to speak. So you can't. You can put your finger on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're talking about, believing in things that you've got no proof for, like unicorns and love. That's what we're talking about at the moment.
Things like that are subjective. So although one of you might think actually that's evidence of love, you can see a moment between two people, someone might disagree and say it's not. So it's an interesting question to pose, because sometimes I think you can have faith and believe in something, but somebody might disagree with you, and who are you to say to that individual you're wrong, because that's their belief?
Okay, so if someone came here and what's your name again?
Ella.
Ella very strongly believes in unicorns. Can we say to Ella, no, you're wrong, there's no proof? Eli's saying there's no proof of unicorns. Can we just say that you're just wrong? Can we say that to her?
Yep.
Say yes.
Yep.
Okay. And let's go around the table on that. Can we say that to?
No, you can't. If you were to say that the just because you can't prove it's there doesn't mean it doesn't exist, then there's lots of things that don't exist.
Like what?
Well, like the everything beyond our solar system.
15 years of marriage.
How do happy years? Yeah. How do we say that anything outside the solar system doesn't exist? We can't prove it.
It's actually sort of science things as well. We can't really. There's loads of things we say just because we can't prove it.
You can't say that. No, that's wrong, because there's no proof that it's not there.
Yeah.
So there's no proof that it's real, but there's no proof that it's not real.
Okay, you can't prove that unicorns don't exist, just as you can't prove they do exist.
Well, scientists have got a name for all of that stuff. They just call it dark matter. It's like stuff that we don't really know what it is. So maybe we could include unicorns and love and all of the above. Maybe it could just be dark matter, like stuff we kind of undecided about, maybe.
Is that the sort of like gravitational force that kind of explains the universe's expansion? Is it all unicorns? Dark unicorns in space?
Are we not just discussing now about crushing childhood dreams and and things that childhood should embrace? And this is happy me. No, but there are elements of childhood that need to be kept as childhood.
Okay, we're talking about, do unicorns exist? Can you prove that they don't exist? Is the reason we can't see them because they're hiding in rainbows? Because of the cruel human beings that would hunt them to extinction? Well, come and talk about it. Come and get involved in this conversation. And what about dark matter? Is that a unicorn thing as well?
I think that like llamacorns and things like that are almost proof that unicorns are make-believe, because it seems like everyone's gone, there's a unicorn, so there must be a llamacorn. So then why isn't there a cowicorn?
Maybe there is.
A cowicorn?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying the idea that you can just make up stuff on the spot means that probably unicorns were made up on the spot as well?
I don't think there's anything wrong with making things up on the spot at all. How brilliant. It's a bit like you, Adam, actually, saying there's lots of things that make believe. All that's make believe, but we've got 100 people in there all singing along, and it's wonderful. And all the Marvel jokes that we listened to earlier, it's all make believe, but what a brilliant thing, because it makes everyone happy.
Okay, so you're saying you can come up with an idea, and that is in a way part of its journey to reality. Part of its,
There's value in making people feel that excitement.
Okay,
so whether it exists or not, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. I mean, it exists as an idea, I suppose. You've just come up with a cowicorn. Cowicorn now exists as an idea, and we've got it on tape as well. Okay, so not on tape actually. I say on tape. It's actually on compact flash. No, it's on SD card. What's your point?
I think that I can just wake up a word like, that's a new word now. I've just invented something. I think that.
What does it mean?
It can mean what you want it to mean. You can make up a meaning like you did with the word.
But that doesn't really have a meaning. So how do we know how to use it?
I wonder if, like when deciding whether something's real or not real, is it more about kind of a general consensus? So, like words are things that other people will recognise. Like how many people would know what you meant by
I think
sorry, I mispronounced it. But how many people need to believe in a thing before it exists? Like, do you just need an amount of minds thinking about it? Maybe.
I'm going to turn the mirror back on you, Ruby. How many people do you think need to believe in it before it exists as an idea, at least?
I'd say at least enough to have like a few different points of view about. I don't know. What about the amount of people around this table? How many? 1, 2, 3.
What is it, a majority?
Yeah, maybe it's.
Okay, well.
Jedi religion, isn't it? It became a religion because there was a big enough group of people to say, all right, I'm a Jedi Knight, so there must be something there. Yeah. So then now it exists, where it didn't exist before, and of course it didn't because it's a film.
Okay.
He's not a Jedi Knight. He's a Sith. That guy there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment we're talking about when does something become real? When do unicorns become real? When does Jedi become real? When does a Sith become real?
Enough people believe.
Yeah, and how many people is enough?
If you make up something, if you really want it to be real, then you could just try and make it. Like if you wanted to make a unicorn, you could basically get body glue, a horn, a horse, and
a horn and some glue. You could actually make a unicorn.
Yeah, and then paint the horn, and then you've got a unicorn.
Okay, so you can actually not only can you make something up and it becomes real, but you can actually make the thing, and it becomes even more real when you make it. We're talking about that sort of like, in a way, this whole conversation is about the gap between imagination and reality and how that journey happens. Let's just get around names. We've got a few people around the table, and we're late on in the day. For example, the dragon. The dragon is did somebody make that up, or is that a real thing, or somewhere between the two? Anyway, let's just get around a name. So, what's your name?
Ruby.
And
Eli.
Nonny.
Lila. Reese.
Yep.
Mark.
Adam.
Ella.
Monty.
Jonah.
Livy.
Katie.
Harry.
And I'm Mikey. We've got Will on camera. I mean, if we can just do this, use our imagination. What could we make something up now? Could we make up something new, right here, right now? Deer Shed Festival towards the end. And what would we make up?
Oh, well, that's the problem, because we probably can't make anything new, because it has probably, most things have been invented already.
Okay.
And when I say most things, I mean most possibilities. I don't, because all things have been invented,
What
but not
about
all
llama
possibilities. Now that is an idea. I haven't. No, that's an idea, and that's been invented.
Okay.
It may just be an idea, but it's an invented idea. It may be real.
Okay, but do people agree with Eli that most things have already been invented, so it's quite hard to come up with new stuff? No.
We don't know what we don't know, do we?
Okay, we don't know what we don't know. Okay.
If you're making something like a unicorn, like Ella said, it could get a bit messy because then like you said it pooed rainbows, didn't you? Well, then you have to go behind the horse and paint the poo rainbow, wouldn't you?
Okay. That's a level of detail maybe we don't necessarily need. But, I mean, what about the general thing? We've got unicorns, but what about other stuff? Could we just simply make up... This is a challenge now that we've kind of set ourselves. I'm going to put the responsibility on the table. To make something new, to come up with something new. Could we do it? Could we come up with something entirely new? We've already had a few suggestions, like the llama corn and the cower corn, but something entirely new, non-unicorn based. Could we do it here at the table?
We could make a real life deer shed sign.
A real life deer shed sign. What would it be like?
So if we put a deer and a shed together, we could get a deer shed.
Okay. I mean, hasn't that kind of been done already? Okay.
What, a walking shed?
You attach a shed next to a deer, and then it's a deer shed.
Okay.
No, if you get the shed, if you get the deer onto the shed, it's a deer shed.
Okay, how are we going to get the deer onto the shed? Anybody?
Training.
No idea.
Training. You get
The reason that this is called the deer shed is actually because in the corner over there is a deer shed. So we already have the real life deer shed.
Okay, so it exists already.
I am known as the party pooper, just so you know.
Yeah, okay. Can we have some more batteries? Actually, let's run out of batteries. So we're talking about, could we come up with something entirely new from our imagination today? What's your name again?
Reese.
Reese has come up with a deer shed sign, but it's been suggested that's already happened. But could we come up with something entirely new that no one's ever come up with before? I mean, we had the llama corn, so we can't do that now, but something along those lines that no one's ever thought of before.
A shed deer.
A shed deer? What is that? How does that differ from a deer shed?
You just lock up a deer in the shed.
Okay. Has anyone ever done that before?
No.
No one's ever locked it?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay, so is that new? Does that pass the test? Something entirely new? Could we rejuggle the deer shed idea in a way that is completely new?
What about that? What was the tiger lion thing? What was that? Where they had a ligon.
Oh, ligon.
It was a made-up thing, wasn't it? They shouldn't really exist, but we made it.
But they do. So what we did is we found. Well, no, I say we. I'm being the human race. A lion and a tiger, and got them to have a baby, which was a ligon or a tiger.
It's a liger.
A liger. So we are making new things, but can we do it around the table? That's my question. And only Reese has really stepped up to the challenge. I know it's Sunday evening and everyone's probably had quite a heavy Saturday night. Nevertheless, I mean,
You could make headphones for a cow.
Headphones for a cow. Has that ever been done before?
I don't know.
Would it be like the silent disco but for cows?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the tunes? Would you play moves? How would it work?
I like to move it.
I like to move it. You can play through the headphones. Could you do that? Now we're talking. Now we're starting to run with this idea. Headphones for cows. Could it work?
I will look it up to see if it's happened already.
Okay, look it up. See if it's happened already. We've got Eli on the fact checking mission.
Cows just producing milk is a bit dull. You know, they could produce other stuff, or other animals could produce other stuff.
Okay, what would you have?
Well, mainly beer at the moment.
Okay,
other more useful things.
Could that's probably genetic engineering or something like that. Could you get cows to produce stuff that's a bit more interesting than just pure milk?
Juice.
Juice. What kind of juice?
Orange juice.
Or what about oranges that produce milk as well? That might be a bit cheaper, I suppose. Yeah.
Isn't it just grass juice that they're making now?
Okay, so is milk kind of grass juice that's been through a cow?
So if you fed them strawberries, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Could you get? Okay. So what about cows producing strawberry milkshake? Would that be a better product than? I mean, any dairy farmers around? We've got some ideas for you. What about cows that produce strawberry milkshake? What's that?
If we don't have milk, the cow can just put it in a bucket and then he can eat his own milk.
Okay, then he can eat his own milk. Okay. All right. So we're talking about we're coming. This is the end of Dear Shed Festival. We're coming up with some new ideas. Could a cow produce ice cream? Could you tinker with the cow's genetic code to get it to produce ice cream or strawberry milkshake rather than just the boring old milk? And what about the idea of a silent disco for cows playing I Like to Move It? Ruby.
I think maybe we could get the cows to help us invent new things. Like, imagine if cows could produce music; they'd make some pretty wild stuff, wouldn't they?
What sort of music do you think cows are into apart from 2 Unlimited?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
has it happened already?
Yes. Well, there isn't any. We haven't got cow headphones that I have found yet.
Yeah.
Well, there is a picture of cow in headphones, but I think that's just Photoshop. But cows. A study has showed that cows that listen to slow music produce up to 3% more milk than cows listening to up-tempo tunes.
What flavour is it?
It would appear that
it's a good idea.
Cows like slow music.
Okay, they like slow music.
Does that work in schools as well? Should we have music being played around corridors where every time a child changes classroom, should we have some kind of music that would help them be calm or excited?
I mean, could you have a silent disco in schools? So like everyone's communication is through headphones. Then it wouldn't really matter how noisy it was because it would all happen through the headphones. So if you wanted to talk to a particular student, you just press a button. Would that work? Silent disco for schools?
Well, yeah, but then you've got like tons of buttons and you've got to find the right one, haven't you?
Okay, would it be technically too complicated for teachers?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, so we're talking, it's got a few different ideas. I'm glad we're starting to generate ideas. We've got the silent disco for cows, the headphone technology for schools. We've got cows listening to slow music and producing strawberry milkshake.
It wouldn't really be a silent disco at the school, but it'd be more like a conversation thing.
Okay, silent conversation. Silent conversation. Okay, so not exactly a disco. Should there be more disco dancing in schools?
Yes.
No.
No? Okay, is that what you're going to say? Were you going to say something else?
I think they want to talk.
Okay, so you're gonna defer. Okay, what about over here? What we got? Lila, Nonny?
There could be a cow in a cafe, so you ask the cow what drink you would like, and it would give you that drink.
Okay, so you've kind of got. Could it do different drinks? The same cow?
Yeah, it could do hot chocolate.
Okay, wouldn't that be a bit painful for the cow? The hot chocolate? Okay, or ice cream. Maybe the ice cream could cool down the could cool things down a little bit. Okay, I mean, could you have a cow that dispensed different drinks from different udders, or I don't know. What do people think?
The one thing with ice cream or hot chocolate is you've got to make it so the cow can actually heat it up or freeze it.
Is it possible?
Probably not, because you'd have to make it so, like a fridge, that is actually using coolant, whereas a cow would have to...
Okay, how would a cow cool down the milk to make ice cream? How would it heat up the milk to make the hot chocolate? Is this actually... It's once again some of these technical questions that, once you come up with an idea, you've got to solve the technical problems to actually get it on the road.
I have found a website.
Yeah.
And this is used in genetic modification for making tomatoes more...
Okay, so you've been researching genetic modification. Thank you, Eli. I'm glad we got you on the table because we're getting a lot more facts in.
It's used for making tomatoes grow in the winter from a fish that produces a special antifreeze protein. They're called Antarctic notothenoids or something.
Okay, so you've got a fish that produces its own antifreeze.
Yes, and we could use that in we could insert that in cows to make it produce it could possibly produce
the milk, the ice cream.
Yes, cold ice cream. I will now look for something that makes things warm for the hot chocolate thing.
Okay, so more genetic. We're doing some genetic research. All we need to do is get the Antarctic fish, get those genes into the cow's udder, at least one of them somehow. So we've now researched the ice cream element, but now we need to look at the udders.
If you put milk in the cow's mouth and you put ice in it, it'll make the milk freeze.
Okay.
And if you put fire with the milk in the cow's mouth, it'll make it hot.
Okay. Maybe you could get maybe you could get. We were talking earlier on about chili. Maybe you could insert the chili genes, the genes from chilies, into cows to make the hot chocolate. Anyway, Ella.
You could give the cow surgery and put a fridge in it.
Put a fridge inside the cow. What do people feel about that? I mean, we're talking about all these modifications we're making to cows. Are people okay about this? Is this okay to do these kind of things to the cows?
Yeah, I was going to say, how can we get the cows' input here? Can we ask them what they would like? Do they want to start producing ice cream? Have they got a choice?
Okay, I mean, what do you think? What do you think the cow's point of view would be?
I think it would entirely depend on the individual cow.
Okay. What would cows be into this? Being cyborged up, being genetically modified? Would you? Maybe we could turn the mirror around and say, would you be into being genetically modified? Anyway, what are you going to, Lila?
I was going to say you could just wait for the cow to die and then put the stuff in it.
Okay. Well, can you get milk from a dead cow?
Oh.
You can get hamburgers.
A drink machine, but cover it in paint so it looks like a cow.
Okay, so you could sort of just make a fake cow. I mean, what do people think about that? Okay, so what the cow like being modified like this? But what about? I mean, we can't ask the cow that question. But what about you? Hang on. I want a final thought from you before you go. And let me just finish this. And what about you? Would you be genetically modified in order to produce something different or to enhance your abilities? Would you want to be genetically modified or cyborged up with machines it fitted inside you like a refrigeration device or something like that? Anyway, final thought.
I think as a human race, we're always creating gaps, and we want to fill those gaps with ideas. So we move from one gap to the next, and somebody's going to come along and create a gap, something that'll fill that gap, be it a unicorn, a llama-corn, or whatever it is.
Okay, and what have you got a view on that?
I think that's great because it explores the imagination.
Okay, so we're using our imagination to create things.
As a final thought, creativity will always outdo Google. So nothing will happen without young people creating something that is unknown, and that is how we develop as
okay, so the creativity is more important than what we find online and what that's already happened that's on Google. Okay.
So, like, you could make t-shirts out of cows and sheep.
Yeah. What do you mean, make t-shirts out?
Like if a cow's dead.
Yeah.
So if it was like your pet.
Yeah.
And you want to remember it, you could make it like a t-shirt out of it.
Have you got any pets?
No.
No. Has anyone got? What? You had a pet? What pet did you have?
Hamsters.
Would you make like a little? Obviously, you can't do a t-shirt. Would you make a bracelet out of the hamster to remember the hamster?
You could.
You could. Okay. So right now we're talking about if you've got a pet, would you make something out of that pet to remember the pet? Be it a t-shirt, a bracelet, depending on what kind of pet it was. Maybe if it was a snake, could be a scarf or something like that. Yeah.
I wouldn't cyborg up to produce something for someone else.
Right.
You're saying that you would give the cow a refrigerator.
Yeah.
But then that is almost that's not for itself. That's for us making something.
But I mean, would you have any cyborg adaptations yourself?
Probably not.
Okay. So where do we want to go this? Do we want to talk about making clothes out of your dead pets, or do we want to talk about being cyborg? We want to do the dead pets thing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know that I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, well we're talking about there's a couple of things. Before I want final thoughts before you go. I need a final thought. Yeah.
I'm staying.
Okay, you're staying. Okay, but we missed. Yeah. We're talking about cyborging up. We're talking about making clothes from your dead pets. Yeah. Ella, final thought before you go. Okay, there you're going. Okay, so we're looking after Ella. Well, we should be fully indoctrinated, but by the time the afternoon's out, we'll get her into our genetic engineering company. Right. Okay.
If you make cows or any animals clothes out of pants.
So you not only could you make clothes out of your dead pets, you can make clothes for your pets out of your old clothes. Okay, come and join in, come and have a seat on the table of chat. Yeah. Okay, well, can you still sit around the table? You don't have to say anything. We've got a point over here from the oldest person around the table.
Cheers. I'm interested on this cyborg thing. Listen at the back there. So if you could upgrade yourself, what would you upgrade and why?
Okay, well I tell you what, I'm going to turn the mirror onto you. What would you upgrade?
My eyesight, I think. To be able to see really far away. And
so hawk vision.
Like a good hawk vision. Yeah, it'd be like super. Without the lasers though.
Okay, you don't want the lasers because that could get a bit wrong. Okay, so we're talking about cyborg adaptations. What would you do? Yeah.
I could cyborg up the birds to make them strong, so they could just come on the floor and then just fight our enemies.
Okay, so you want to cyborg yourself? You'd cyborg the birds for defence or security reasons. I think I would, if I was going to cyborg, I would get a couple of eyes here, so that I could see all like 360.
I'd get the eyes I've already got to start working better.
Okay, so you'd
I'd
have to
cyborg up to combat the iniquities of getting older, like bad backs.
Okay, so extra focus on the eyes.
Anything that starts fading doesn't work. I'd get that.
Okay, so some cyborging is more for old people when they start to fall apart a little bit, rather than young people, where they have kind of got. I think that's what I'm getting from you. Yeah, Nonny?
But still, like younger children, like if we got like cat vision where we could see all those different colours and be able to see at night and stuff.
Right.
Like
okay.
that.
So you don't like cat vision, so it's a choice, really, I suppose. Eli, would you cyborg up? Would you get access to Google and search engines and Wikipedia implanted into your brain, so you don't have to use a phone?
No, I wouldn't. I have done some research already.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of vanity.
Yeah.
I like to not alter the way I look.
Right.
And in the case I've seen, a cyborg has been. There is a human cyborg.
Yeah.
He used to not be able to see in colour, and now he does.
Yeah.
At the price of a black antenna going into his skull, sticking over at the top of his head.
Okay.
And I would not
You wouldn't want to. You
One
wouldn't
thing,
go
I've
for
only
that.
been able to wear a hat.
If you couldn't see in colour, would you? If you couldn't see in colour, would you? You wouldn't cyborg up to see colours.
I probably would, but I don't have anything that I want to change about myself. So
Okay.
I might have a disability that I'm unaware of, but I'm happy living with it.
Okay, so do we want to cyborg up? Do we actually want to change? You know, enhance ourselves? Are we happy with ourselves? That's what we're talking about now. Yeah, there's a point over here.
Cyborg up pizzas.
How would you cyborg a pizza?
If you put mega cheese on pizza.
Okay, so what would cyborg cheese look like?
Chocolate pizza.
Okay, chocolate pizza. Okay, we got a point over here, and I'll come to you.
I'd probably if I was gonna cyborg myself, I'd probably make my eyes so I could night vision.
Okay, so most people cyborging is down to their eyes. They're doing their eyes. So yeah.
I would also do my ears, so
Yeah.
so some owls can hear from really far away, and I'll
Okay.
do that, and then I'd do that eyes.
Even if it gave you really, really big ears, would you still do it?
If it gave me really big ears, I wouldn't. But if
Okay.
it was just, if it made my ears just the same, and I could just hear
Okay.
far.
Okay, well, that's a question. I mean, because this is a point I think that Eli made, that whatever cyborg adaptation you make, it affects your look. It affects the way you look. It the man with the cyborg colour vision has got a big aerial coming out of his head. So if you're going to have better hearing, you're going to have bigger ears. If you're going to have better eyesight, you're going to have huge eyes put in there. Would you do that? Would you take the... Yeah.
I'd only have better hearing if I had bigger ears.
You'd want the bigger ears?
Yeah, I like looking stupid.
Okay, you'd like that idea to look a bit stupid, yeah?
If we had, all of us had animals, we could speak to animals and tell them what to do, because if they jump up on you, you're quite scared.
Okay, so some kind of animal communication device where it's kind of like a translation device, so you can speak animal. That would solve some of the problems about the cows and whether they'd want to be cyborged up, what sort of music they like to listen to, and all that. The earlier discussion, we could get the cows involved if we had a device like that. Okay, Ella?
So if you wanted extra eyes,
Yeah.
you might look a bit weird because they just have them back of your head, and you probably wouldn't have anything to cover it up.
Okay, would you? But that's the thing. That's a sacrifice you need to make. If you're going to cyborg up, you're going to look weird. And what's your name again?
Mac? Oh no, it's Bob.
Bob said that he's willing to take the sacrifice. He's willing to look strange in order to have better hearing. But that's the question. Eli says no. I wouldn't want to look strange. I would want to. I would want to keep my appearance. So that's what we're talking about right now.
It's a very long scientific journal that I'm about to read.
Okay.
So I'm probably not going to do a lot of talking.
Okay, well read that, digest it, and give us a summary at the
It's
end.
incredibly interesting.
Okay.
And I think it will enlighten us.
Okay, well, you read that, do a bit of research. We'll come back to you when you're done. So where are we going to go with this conversation? I mean,
I reckon we're already pretty cyborged up. I mean, look, you've got your microphone wired to your head.
yeah, is this the kind of cyborg?
Yeah, I think that's it's like a
enhancement?
little external brain going on here that you can look through.
Yeah, so we're already cyborging up. It's happened already.
Glasses are sort of
Cyborg, yeah.
cyborging up as well. Because
Okay.
if you can't see properly, that's why we have them.
Okay, are you a cyborg?
I'd say if we're going with glasses being a cyborg, yeah. I should imagine a few years' time when I get a hearing aid, I'll be even more cyborg.
Okay.
I've got a metal knee, so yeah. I think
Oh wow, okay. So, do you think as you get older you get more cyborg?
That's my experience.
Okay, so, I mean, how do you feel about cyborging up in the future? What's happened to Yeah?
I'm cyborg. I put a lid on my finger.
Okay, so
to
you've
make
cyborged up, you've now got a metallic thumb. Okay.
Sort of in the future, I don't think we're already quite diverse in how we look as people. So I think you just get used to the fact that people have got bigger eyes, bigger ears, bits of metal sticking out their head. I think
it'll just become normal.
When
Giant
you're not the
ears.
only one, when you're walking around the street and 20, 30 other people walking the other way have also got bits of metal sticking out of them, or plastic thumbs or whatever. It's
Yeah.
It'll no longer be strange.
Okay, will they be walking or will they be moving in a different way once they've been cyborged up to a bit more? Nonny?
What? I don't know how to explain it, but
Go on, give it a go. What are you thinking?
don't know really.
We're talking about cyborging up, we're talking about changing as you get older, looking weird, but maybe it won't be weird in the future. Does any of that help?
When we're probably going to adapt more because we've already got parts of us that we don't use in general life anymore.
Yeah.
So I think
what do we not use?
Things like your appendix and stuff.
Okay, so we've got kind of stuff we don't use anymore. Will we have more things we don't use in the future that we'll just get rid of?
I mean, we already do. So, I mean, I've not got an appendix. Mine's gone.
Is it?
Yeah. So sometimes it
Why
just
did you
goes.
get rid of it?
Because it didn't like me.
Okay, so you had a disagreement with it. Okay.
Yeah, had a bit of an argument. And
Yeah.
that really
I mean,
popped
would we get rid of anything else? Is there anything else that you're not using that you could just get rid of?
I don't know. Some of your puns we could make. I don't know, but I think what I'm interested in is what could we we're talking about society and it changing and sort of acceptance and looks, but actually, I think there's lots of ways we could better society with this technology. So like transportation, I think we need to find a more economical way to travel that's a lot quicker. It's a bit old school now.
So you think we could maybe cyborg wings?
Teleport. There you go. But how would you go about that? Where would you like to teleport to? Like, is it short distance, long distance?
Anywhere, you'd go anywhere. Okay, well, you've had your hand up for a while. What are you going to say?
Well, do you know there's some people who are born with only one arm?
Yeah.
Well, some people try and get it try to their life to get another arm by modification, but you don't even need it. You could just get a cyborg arm.
Okay.
Quite easily.
A cyborg arm. Is that just limited to people? They would cost a lot.
Not that much.
Okay, how much? Do you know how much a cyborg arm costs? Maybe that's another thing for Eli to look up.
1p.
1p? Are you sure about that? Eli, can you look that up for us? How much a cyborg arm would cost?
How much it would cost? $90 billion.
90 billion. We're going to find out, I think.
There is a guy that 3D prints artificial arms and hands them out as it's a charity venture. So it depends. The cost is going to depend on the kind of technology that you're talking about. If you're talking about a 3D printed arm, it's going to be pretty cheap. If you're talking about something that's the latest high-tech Bill Gates kind of cyborg arm, that's going to cost millions.
So I mean, earlier on we were talking about the cost of different trainers and stuff like that, but maybe cyborg arms as well. They all vary in price, but will they end up all being made in a factory in China? Yeah.
If we do all these upgrades and this sort of meta-human stuff, I'd like to do an Olympic version of it. Just people
cyborg Olympics.
Yeah, just amazing. Imagine how quick they would run if they had bionic legs, or how far the discus would go. What sport would you like to see that actually is just enhanced by technology?
Could any sports be enhanced by cyborgs? Yeah.
If you put metal sports, if you had. I was just about to say metal golf, but they is metal golf.
What's that?
I was just about to say metal golf, but they is metal golf.
Okay, some metal. Could you enhance golf with cyborgism? I mean, cyborg arms are just a club arm.
You just turn cyborg.
You could do swimming and have fins.
Okay, swimming with fins. Mermaid swimming. We're back to that. This is making waves. Dear Shed 9 making waves, and we're talking about could we all have fins in the future? And could you introduce it into the Olympics?
A hoverboard, a real hoverboard, not like a Segway, because we haven't done a hoverboard.
Okay, well, you're looking forward to a hoverboard?
Yeah, and now there's been morph boards that there's a skateboard, and then you can just transform into different kind of things. So that's cyborg.
Is a skateboard itself a kind of cyborg modification?
Because
hang on a sec. Let me come to, because you've had your hand up for a while, and then we need information from Eli.
There is an actual hoverboard, but it uses magnets.
Okay.
The magnet.
So you can only do it on a magnetic bit. Yeah. What's your?
I saw this hoverboard once. It hovers, but not very much.
Yeah.
Like you can't really.
So it's not good. It's about having some serious hover.
Good speed.
Yeah.
And it's quite bulky. And have you seen Back to the Future? They look like just skateboards without wheels. It looks nothing like that. It's like a big thing.
Okay, it's a bit too bulky right now. We're talking about cyborgism. We're talking about hoverboards. We're talking about the vehiculation of the future. Eli, have you got some facts for us?
I do. Sadly, it was a French website. I could translate the abstract, but the rest of it was in French, and it wouldn't let me translate. So I couldn't find the bit where it would let me find what I wanted.
Did you get anything from it at all?
I got that. I got basically what we've been saying before, and just a bit more advanced, which I can't be bothered to say.
Okay, what about the cost of the cyborg arm? How much does that cost?
In the 25th June 2015, a week before, a woman got a new arm. It can perfectly mimic the function of a real hand. It was created using F1 and military technology.
How much did it cost?
And it was made by the company who made it estimates that it costed £30,000 pounds.
Okay.
But they can, and apparently it's the best in the world. However, they can cost up to £100,000.
Okay, so 30,000, 100,000 for a cyborg arm.
That's a good quality one.
That's a good quality one. A cheap one might be a bit less. Michael.
Talking about the hoverboards. The ones with like the two wheels. That are like lean forward to use. I've heard a number of reports of them exploding.
Okay, so they're not
So
quite
they're not
safe
really
yet.
they're not that safe, but they are pretty cool.
Would you try one despite the danger?
I would try one, but not for long.
Okay, so we're talking about cyborg adaptations, talking about hoverboards. How's the future going to pan out? Are these cyborg arms going to get cheaper? And what about the cyborg ears? Are they going to be like a normal thing that people wear, these huge ears? And in which case, would you even need headphones for a silent disco? Come and have a seat on the table chat. This is Talkaoke. We're talking about cyborgism.
By the way, my cousin has a hoverboard, so he might explode.
Are you worried about your cousin's hoverboard exploding? Okay. We've got a few new faces at the table now. It's maybe time just to get a quick round of names. So let's have a go. So we've got Nonny, we've got Lila, we've got Reese. What's your name?
Kyle.
Kyle and David,
Alicia.
What's that?
Peace.
Peace, not Reese. Okay, yeah. What's it?
Alicia.
Alicia.
Lauren.
Michael.
Nelly.
Jake Paul.
They don't know.
So you don't know yet?
Lara. Harry.
And
Eli.
Okay, you found something. What about what?
About what David said. It's founded. I think I'm not sure, but there was a person called Stephen Davies, and he's the one who founded the charity Enable, which is spelled E-Nable, which is funny because it's enabling people and it's spelled E.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and he raised £2,000 to get to buy his own 3D printer. And in 2 months he had printed his first hand, and now they are going out to people who would be bullied would soon become the coolest people in school. Like Spider-Man ones and Iron Man ones are being made, and they're cheap options for growing up people.
How much does one of those arms cost?
I haven't found it yet,
Okay,
but
we'll
it
come
has
back
been
to you.
said that it is very cheap.
Okay, so are we getting our information second hand here? So we're talking about the costs of cyborg stuff. Is it going to come down in price? Would you cyborg up? These are some of the questions we were asking. What cyborg enhancements? What's your name again? Sorry. At the moment.
Jake Paul.
Can I just call you Jake?
No.
No? Oh.
It has to be Jake Paul.
Anyway, you'll have cyborg ears, big cyborg ears. Michael, I'll come to you in a second, then Reese.
Right, talking like sometimes.
Hang on a sec, Nonny, Lila, final thought before you go.
Sometimes I don't think people actually need the cyborg ears.
Yeah.
Because I saw this video once, like it was somebody hearing with the tongue, like something. They put something on the tongue and they could listen with the tongue.
Wow, amazing.
I'm not sure how much that costs though.
Okay, all right. So you can have like an adaptation where you can use your tongue as an ear. Final thought, Nonny?
I don't think cyborg ears would be a good idea because you'd probably just get like headaches from hearing so many noises at the same time.
Okay, sometimes it's nice not to hear anything. And then Nick is basically not wanting to say anything himself. So why don't you just say it yourself?
There's a cyborg.
Grab the mic.
I think there's a cyborg at number 10.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
I think it's absolutely amazing.
Okay, amazing to have a cyborg. What are the cyborg adaptations? Number 10, what street?
Number 10, Downing Street.
Yeah.
I think she's doing a grand job. I think what she's done for the country, sort of like making these necessary cuts to libraries and schools and basic leisure centres. I think
to balance the budget.
It's clearly a grand thing she's doing and very brave.
Okay. Well, what's the cyborg element of that?
I think it's part of her insanity that she would want to keep on continuing doing this and thinking it's going to come to some good.
So some kind of like mental modification you're talking about there. Okay, so we're talking about cyborg. Would you cyborg up? Would you become a cyborg if it made you the Prime Minister? Would you make that sacrifice? Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I think even if that was the case, I think it might be sort of maybe modifying young people's thoughts by making those cuts that's negatively affecting them. So I don't think May is doing a grand job.
Okay, controversial. Okay, so where do we want to go with this? Do we want to move on to politics? And give us a final thought.
We may...
What cyborg adaptation would you have?
Cyborg things need to be cheap because if they have it, they can't. If they don't have enough money, they can't get it, so they can't do it.
Okay, so if you would have a cheap cyborg modification, if you were going to get one, okay. So we're talking about cyborg modifications. A bit of politics coming into this. We could widen this up a bit. Could you use technology to improve politics? Could it have a function when it comes to? Nick there suggested that the Prime Minister's already using technology to boost their political power. Give us a final thought before you go.
2 rolls are too expensive.
Okay, well that's why we started this off. We actually talked a lot about this today. Earlier on, you missed that debate. Okay, so where do we want to go with this?
I was gonna say politicians could use some technology to give off information to vote for someone else, to convince someone to.
Okay, so they could use it to sway people's opinions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could use technology to sway people's opinions. Is that a good thing, do you think?
I think it could be for the politician, obviously, but then for the general public, they'll think they'll have no say in what they're doing because they're just getting told what to do.
So not good for the public, good for the politician. Michael?
I think that the technology should be used for
Do you think we should have cyborg politicians?
It would be possible, but this is just some sort of machine that could count in the votes, because if there's I know the counters should be unbiased, but if they want one specific party to win, then they could easily count one twice.
So you could
the machine could count them accurately.
Yeah, could you extend the technology even further to count opinions maybe rather than just votes? There's a point over here.
Well, I was just stretching.
Oh, you're just stretching your arm? Okay, yeah.
I reckon if you do get cyborg politician, they run the risk of being hacked.
Okay.
So you wouldn't want Russia hacking the Prime Minister, for example.
All right, so
Putin's pretty much a
is Putin a cyborg? Do we trust technology when it comes to politics? Any information on this, Eli? Could you help us out with this one? Could you I mean, I don't know what you're going to search for, but could you actually have technology, computers, cyborgism enhancing the political process? Well, give us a final thought before you go, Jake, and whatever you.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
You have to say Jake Paul.
Jake Paul?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Give us a final thought before you go.
It's a bad idea.
Grab the mic, because I'm getting tired now, to be honest.
Having cyborg stuff's a bad idea. We're fine as we are.
Okay, we're fine as we are. You don't drop the mic. Bang. Okay. Yeah. Final thought.
I think it's like it will be a good idea to have it, like to help people with either disabilities or something, like born without any arms or anything.
But what about when you need super abilities for running the country?
You don't really need that, because that's just like technically being greedy. It's just like you might as well live a normal life like everyone else.
Okay, so maybe it's only for people.
You don't want to be better than everyone else.
Okay, so it's not about making people better than other people. It's about bringing people up to that level. I'll come to you in a second. Yeah.
Politicians don't need superhero abilities, they need like experience as a person, and cyborgs won't have that because they're just programmed and like numbers and stuff.
Okay, so but could you somehow program in like extra memories or extra experience into a politician, so they've got more knowledge?
I don't think we've got to the point, like it would be good if we could program like feelings and stuff, but we don't know how to do that yet, so
okay, so you could program feelings maybe into a politician.
I think that it's a bad idea to program feelings, but if it were to I'm all for
why is it a bad idea?
People who don't feel emotions feelings, but like being
not extra feelings.
No, and also let's say you have just had a fight with your mother, and then you want to go on the computer. Then your computer's going to be like, well, you were in the war and I'm not going to let you.
Okay, so the computer.
Although you've been mean to your mother, like having some brain downtime on your computer could let you see that you were in the wrong. I
think this technology is promising.
Sitting stewing about your computer and your mother.
Okay, so it has got some possibilities here, but are they good possibilities when you've had a fight with your mum? Okay, yeah.
I think we should use some new technology in Talkaoke. I think we should have like holographic seats where people can just tune in and from far away.
We're actually working on that at Ravensbourne College of Art and Technology. We're working on remote input.
You know what I mean? Like if Michael has to go home, Michael could just tune in and just sit there. We can look at them anyway. Just a hologram of Michael.
We can get these people to.
Everyone.
You can carry on with it, and
it'd be weird because you'd just be sat there on your own talking to some holograms.
Well, I'd be a hologram as well. I think what we need to do
is just be sat at home.
If we're going to do that, we need to automate the system a little bit. Yeah. But we could do it, and I think that is how to make Talkaoke as big as say Fortnite, because everyone could do it then, couldn't they? If it was all automatic. Anyway, I speaking of, human beings have only got a certain amount of ability, and I think I'm almost at the end of my brain capacity here.
Carry on to get final
I think maybe it's time to get final thoughts, because I feel like this festival's winding down anyway. They've closed up the face painting, and I think that's a sign that things are coming to an end. But we can't just leave it like that. This has been a wonderful odyssey. It's been a journey of all sorts of ideas and suggestions and thoughts. So we need to kind of put the icing on the cake. Yeah, we need to go away sum this up. What are we feeling? What are we thinking? We've got next year, as soon as this festival's over, as soon as the date is locked, Deershed will be starting to think about next year's festival, Deershed 10. They will be straight on it. So, what are the thoughts going forward? How are we going to make the next festival better? There's been a lot of suggestions about involving more charities, involving different people in the festival. There's been some great ideas. We had all sorts of conversations today and the other day. So what are our final thoughts here? How are we going to take this forward? Yeah. Michael, have you got any ideas?
Not necessarily.
No, you haven't got any. Have you enjoyed anything?
I've probably enjoyed like some of the stalls. Like food's great. I recently just got a new instrument from one of the music stalls.
Okay, what was the instrument?
I've forgotten how to say it. What is it? A glockenspiel.
Okay, so you've glockenspieled up. Is that a kind of cyborg adaptation in a way?
No, it's a piece of...
Is Mum going to regret that when you've got all the dingy-dongy sounds going through the night?
Obviously I won't play it in the night.
Okay.
I'm definitely not playing it all night.
Okay, you're not going to play it all night.
I wish I could though.
Okay, so you've been introduced to a new musical instrument. I mean, that's what this festival's all about. It's all about finding and discovering new things. Any final thoughts? Have you got any final thoughts?
I think that this has been really great for kids and adults as well to get their opinions over and have a chance to express what they want to say, because sometimes they don't get much chance to do that.
Okay, so it is a great chance. Could we expand that next year? How do we build on this? This is the question.
I don't know.
What is it? Have you enjoyed the weekend?
Yeah.
What's been the highlight?
Ice cream.
Ice cream, okay. Could we expand the ice cream element to it? Is it about genetically engineering cows to produce better ice cream?
No.
And what would that be like?
No, the mint chocolate's the best.
Okay, mint chocolate. So focus more on mint chocolate, okay. Final thoughts. Another final thought, Michael?
My highlight of the weekend has to be being on this for the past 3 days, is it?
Okay, you've been
at least an hour at least an hour a day.
Okay, is it a little bit addictive, perhaps?
I've got a final thought, and it's just based on what you said about really good to hear. Well, really good for the children to have the voice, but from a parent's point of view, really good to sit back and see what the children come up with when they just debate amongst themselves as well, with someone just to keep it moving. So
okay, yeah. So it's interesting to see. Is it an insight into what the future's going to be like? And if so, is it a exciting future when you lot are all a bit older and running the show? Okay, final thoughts. Any other final thoughts?
I just think that it's good that children have a voice, because mostly in everyday life children are put to the side as like they don't know anything, that they don't understand it, when usually we do, and usually we want to have a say in things.
Okay, so more say really for younger people. Okay, could we go further with that? Could we actually somehow channel those ideas, those opinions, and not put them to the side?
Of like how the
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Yep.
Brexit is rubbish.
Brexit is rubbish. Okay. Why?
Because it's just it's rubbish. It's just rubbish, that's all I have to say.
But why? I mean, there's got to be a reason. Is there anything you don't like about it?
The only reason we left the EU was like racist.
Okay, well, racist towards who?
Towards non-white people.
Okay, interesting. That's maybe one for the next Talkaoke session, because it's more of a start of a conversation. I mean, I think people might agree, they might not. I don't know, but we're kind of doing the final thoughts. We did have a lot of chat about Brexit on various days, and we looked at it from lots of different angles. Actually, lots of interesting new angles on that. Any final thoughts? Final thoughts over here, Eli?
Well, I wanted to say the peak of my research. Basically, AI have been able to identify small parts of human nature that humans can't actually identify.
What's AI?
Artificial intelligence.
Right.
And they. Like for instance, there's a case where criminals have certain facial expressions that are really hard to detect, but AI are able to notice them. However, they have not yet been able to feel emotion. Sony are trying to make AI feel emotion, but there is no. It says that there is no evidence of how they are going to do this.
Okay, so we haven't quite yet got feeling computers. That's an important point if we want them to help to enhance politics or enhance. Would that have a different effect on Brexit if we had computer enhanced technology? So these are some final thoughts. Final thought over here.
I think my final thought is it's been an experience coming up north. It's the first Talkaoke this far up north, and I'm not quite sure what's in the water, but the young people are phenomenal, and everyone's so lovely and welcoming and so intelligent. So it's been some great conversations, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's been really interesting to hear sort of quite a liberal group of young people that are passionate about making a change, and it's been really nice to see.
Okay.
My final thought's probably a little bit of sadness not to have encountered this earlier in the weekend. To have caught on to the last 45 minutes is a little bit of an oversight on my part. So that's
okay. Well, hopefully we'll be here next, maybe in some form, or there might be the cyborg version by then, where it's all going to be holographic. But we'll try and make our way up here next, maybe next year. Nelly?
I remember what I was going to say. Like how the children and the adults could say what they thought, so then like the children could say something, but then like the adults could disagree, or the adults could say something and the children disagree.
So it's that mix of children and adults all pitching into the same thing and all doing the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I'm totally on you with that one, because everyone's got an opinion, and why not just put them against each other? And sometimes we heard there were some things in which older people had different views to younger people, and some things where it was more mixed in different ways. So absolutely. Any other final thoughts, Ruby, camera operator?
This is my first time this far north.
Okay.
It's been
round
quite
of applause
exciting for me. It's a whole different world up here.
What's the furthest north you've been before this?
It's probably middle of Wales, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not really. I've barely explored north of London, so I'm definitely a southerner. It's been a great time. Yeah.
Okay. What's your view of the north now? From Deershed Festival, is it
quite tricky to say? I don't know. I was wondering how indicative is this of the north generally? Like, have I got?
Is Deershed Festival kind of
base my opinion on of the north?
Is Deershed Festival a kind of condensation of everything that the north is? Can you get a flavour of the north of England? And we've had some people from Scotland even here as well. Is it indicative? Is it a flavour? Is it a condensation?
Festivals are always going to attract more creative and liberal-minded people as a general, I think. Anyway, that's my view of the festival, but I think that could be anywhere.
But isn't North a creative place anyway? Because we've heard so much creativity.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so it is. Obviously, you've got that festival colouring to it. But maybe yes. Maybe the answer is yes. Any other final thoughts? Final thoughts? Oh yeah.
I hope to see you next year.
Okay, well, me
and
too.
And enjoy your life.
I hope to see you next year, and I enjoy your year in between, and keep up the research. Final thought?
I think Mikey deserves a massive round of applause for organising this, being amazing, and being an absolutely fantastic host.
Oh, and I want to thank you, Will, as well, for being an amazing host, as well as a round of applause for Will, and for Ruby, and thanks to Deershed and everyone that invited us here, because we've had a great time. We will see you next year. Thank you. Final.
Yeah, I was a horse for a bit.
Okay, well, that's once again something we can talk about next time.
Next year.
Yeah.